Hi, my name is Kim Wilkinson, and I will be discussing my multicultural paper. I chose to research and learn more about the Asian Indian culture. I chose this culture because my husband has many coworkers from India, and we have been trying to help them assimilate into the American culture. I did ask several of them for things that I may not know about their culture and things that are misrepresented about their culture here in America. They were very warm and welcoming, and I was wanting to learn about their culture and they were very welcoming that I was wanting to learn more about their culture as we were trying to help them learn about ours. Along with just asking questions of these men, I did some internet research on the culture and lifestyle of the Indian people. Some of the things I expected to find were of the differing principles in their main religions that are followed by those people. There are several. They each are differing in how they do see their worldview. This could make it difficult for a counselor due to the variety of religions and the differences in the many gods and goddesses in which they worship. India is noted as the birthplace for Hinduism and Buddhism. The Hindu religion is about 84% of the population in this country. Approximately 13% are Muslim, and the rest are split up between Christianity and Buddhism. What I learned about the culture and myself were that they are both very family oriented, very much as my family has done for generations. We all as humans need the reliance on others for help at times. The Indian culture does do a much better job, in my opinion, of caring for their elderly population and also sees them as a source of information and pride. The surprising things in which I found out about this culture were things such as the way they believe that people are cared for after they die. The fact that almost all of the Indian people are cremated, as well as the strict number of days before they are buried, and that most are placed into a river of importance, such as the Ganges River, after they are cremated. If they are Hindu, this is where they believe it is the best way for them to reach nirvana. To discuss the things in which were expected, I found the treatment of women within the family was much as I had expected. They are the caretakers, and until recently, many still remained in the home, and the man was the one who was to work outside the home. I also expected to find things such as art and music as a large part of their heritage. And to listen to the music and look at the art was very relaxing to me. Another expectation that was confirmed was the use of many spices within the cooking of traditional meals. One of my husband's coworkers and his family cooked some traditional things for us to try. They were delicious yet spicy, with flavors that we here in America do not seem to use as much as they do within their culture. Next, I will discuss the things in which I found that I enjoyed and also disliked about what I learned. When thinking about the things in which I liked after learning about this culture, some were mentioned earlier in this paper. Things such as the music. I find this type of music great for thinking as well as working. I have been listening to this music for several days and have found it to be both relaxing and rejuvenating for me. I enjoyed looking at some of the artifacts that the coworkers shared with us and their meanings. Many of the items had to do with their faith and in Hindu and the gods and goddesses in which they pray and serve. I will say that I both liked and disliked some things about the food that we tried. I have traveled to several places around the world and love trying new things, especially the cuisine. This was both good and different. I am not one for very spicy food, and so some of the curry dishes in which were served were too spicy for me to enjoy. I did enjoy the way that they used the naan bread to eat over using utensils, as we do here in the U.S. The naan bread to me was similar to the pita bread that we used in Greece with most meals while I was there. The only other thing I would say that I disliked was just the vast difference of knowing who the gods and goddesses are in which they pray to. For me, the one and only God fills the role of the many Hindu gods that they represent. Now we will move on to how it was interacting with people from this culture as well, as I thought I stepped out of my comfort zone. When I think of stepping out of my comfort zone, I am reminded of how many different countries I have visited or lived in over the years. I stepped out of a comfort zone where other cultures are concerned many years ago. It's different every time that we try to learn about another culture. I've never been to India, so that's why I chose this particular group to learn about. I found it different, though, being here in my home country while discussing the other culture with people who are from here, or from there. I was a little uncomfortable at first, but I did not want to ask a wrong question or one that would offend them at all, especially when it came to their religion. It was enjoyable during the time I was interacting with my husband's coworkers and their families. They all share that culture, and while living and working here in the United States, they have created a family type of atmosphere among themselves. The families were very generous and open with both myself and my husband as we spent time with them. They were excited in a sense to share things about their culture, as we also shared some intricacies about the culture here in America. Both sides of each culture took the time to try and understand the other culture as well. It truly was an enjoyable experience that I would do again. Next, I'll discuss what I learned about this culture that would possibly help me when I'm creating a treatment plan for a person of the Indian culture. Things that I did learn about this culture is that though women seem to be submissive to the husband, they are very intelligent and have gone far within their education if given the financial opportunity. So a treatment plan for a woman or a man would be decidedly different, as it would be different for a family session. Children are a very important part of this culture, so to be aware of this is especially helpful when designing a treatment plan. As a matter of fact, family is a strength of this culture, and so we need to tread lightly when discussing the family as a whole with this particular culture. I mean this as we should allow the client, whomever it is, to be allowed to share things that may need improvement within how he is treated within the family, or any issues that may bring to light about the family. We need to remember how close-knit this culture is to each other, and not to alienate the client if they are having issues within the family. Many of the things, such as moving states away from family, is not usually done in this culture unless they move to the United Kingdom or the United States, in which they still help to support the entire family if needed. Many of the co-workers discussed very openly that the jobs here pay so much more than anything in India, and that they regularly send money back to the family who remains in India. The fact that these clients will be of a different culture background needs to be noted as well. What they believe is vastly different than many of the religions in which those of us may have a great knowledge of. This culture, when here in America, can be more open than I originally thought. They can also be very closed off and not willing to share as openly, as they have created a trust and a rapport with their therapist. I did find some research in which details that most mental health issues are boiled down to alcoholism or depression in India, and that there are very few psychiatrists per capita there. The last research that I saw was there are 3 psychiatrists for every 1 million people. So that is something that they need desperately there. They are looking into several studies in which a lay counselor may be able to provide needed therapy in the outlying areas where this seems to be much more prevalent as far as the alcoholism and depression go. In closing, this was a great assignment which challenged me to try and reach out to a culture in which I previously knew nothing about. I was grateful to the co-workers of my husband for helping me so openly in this project. I feel much more prepared to handle a case for a client who may be of Indian descent and ready to help them in any way I can. Thank you very much.